and all the men and women merely players. That was written in As You Like It by William Shakespeare in around 1600. That's over 400 years ago.
William Shakespeare was a writer, most famous writer of all time. He loved to write plays, and there are many, many plays that he wrote. One of which I like is the play called Twelfth Night. It's a beautiful day as our story begins, but who comes here? Could they be twins? Yes, indeed, they look the same. She is Viola, Sebastian is his name. Like peas in a pod, they were always together, but this would soon change due to the weather. They left in a ship with a captain and crew. The sun was shining, the sky was blue. Indeed, they were having so much fun, they didn't see the clouds come over the sun. Suddenly, the air turned bitterly cold. The wind picked up 1,000-fold. It tore at the mast, it slashed the sail. Sebastian cried, "Viola, it's a gale!" The captain bellowed, "All hands on deck! I fear there's to be a terrible wreck." The sailors on board were filled with despair. "She's coming apart! Quick, let's say a prayer! Have mercy on us, the end is near. We don't want to die," they shouted in fear. The battered ship was tossed to and fro. They were all trapped and nowhere to go. With a sickening crack, the boat hit a rock. Viola screamed and collapsed in shock. "My life is over," she said with a moan. "Don't leave me now. Don't leave me alone." Sebastian desperately reached for her hand. "I love you, sister. Do you understand?" With that, a wave smothered the ship, and the ravaged boat began to tip. As they were tossed and pitched into the sea, Viola cried, "Captain, hang on to me!" He held her tight for what seemed like days. The lightning flashed. The sky was ablaze. Somehow or other, they made it to shore. Then the storm stopped. It rained no more. Viola searched for Sebastian in vain. "Will I never see my brother again?" "Did you see him, Captain? Answer me fast." "I did, my lady, clinging to the mast." Viola smiled. "At least there is hope. That gives me some strength I need to cope." "But, Captain, pray tell, where are we?" "My lady, Illyria is where we be." "And who," she asked, "is in charge of this place?" "The Grand Duke Orsino, they call him your grace." Viola said, "I've heard of this man. Tell me more of him if you can." The captain replied, "If he has his way, a countess will be his fiancée. I speak of Olivia, but she's in such pain, I fear she'll never date again." Viola was shocked. "I wonder why. Is this girl nuts? She doesn't want this guy." It's been said she'll see no man at all, since her father and brother died last fall." "Well, enough of this chat," Viola said. "I need a place to lay my head. I must have a job to earn a wage. Perhaps Orsino needs a page." "Well, my lady, you can't be a dame. How about Cesario for your name?" "Yes, indeed, I'll need a sword. I think I can fool this lord." The captain replied, "A mute I'll be, I won't snitch, you can count on me." That very same day at Orsino's place, the Grand Duke sat with a very long face. "Come, musicians, play me a song, but not something loud. It would be wrong. It must be the food of love. Play like the angels from above." They'd just begun when he cried, "No more! 'Tis not so sweet now as it was before." Just then a servant appeared in the hall. "I've been to Olivia's to pay her a call. I have some news, but it's not so hot. Her plans for her are completely shot. She'll wear a veil to cover her tears and see no one for 7 years." Orsino was touched by her devotion. "I want her so," he cried with emotion. "If love for her brother runs that deep, when she feels my love, her heart will leap." Orsino pranced across the hall. "Maybe there's hope for me after all." While things looked up for Orsino his grace, it was a different story at Olivia's place. Olivia moped in her room feeling sad, but Maria, her maid, was steaming mad. She scolded Sir Toby, Olivia's kin. He seemed to be leading a life of sin. "You're home too late to get your sleep. Olivia hates the hours you keep." Sir Toby Belch just shrugged her off. "What is it to you if I drink and quaff?" Maria continued, "And that's not all. I've heard of your friend who comes to call." "Ah, this man you speak of. He is Sir Andrew Ogle-Cheek. He fills with charm and skill and wit." Maria snorted. "Ah, he's a twit." Toby replied, "He's not that bad. If he wed my niece, I'd be quite glad. He loves to drink into Olivia's health. What's more, he is a man of great wealth." "But hush, Maria, here he comes." They greeted each other, the best of chums. They talked such nonsense and utter rot that Maria left, fed up with the lot. Sir Andrew's smile turned into a frown. "I think I'd better leave this town. Your niece won't have me," he woefully said. "I'm sure it's the Duke she's going to wed." Sir Toby yelled, "No, that's not true. What girl would turn you down a catch like you?" Sir Andrew agreed. "You're quite right. For 1 more month I'll hang in tight." Meanwhile, back on Orsino's land, Cesario the page was lending a hand. Viola's disguise had worked like a charm. She had no trouble twisting his arm. Orsino had fallen for Viola's white lie. He really believed she was a guy. But this little game was soon out of control, for Orsino had touched her very soul. "I wish I knew I am not what I seem. I think he's a perfect dream." When Orsino called her to come right away, Viola rushed without a delay. "There is a job you can do for me. Olivia the Countess, I want you to see. Stand at her door. Do not be denied. Tell her I want her by my side. Explain that I love her. I'll always be true. My speech will sound better coming from you." Viola wanted to say, "Get a life. If you really want someone, I'll be your wife." But she didn't say that. It was in her heart. Instead, she smiled. I'll do my part." So Viola set off to do the job, although inside she wanted to sob. She pulled down her hat as before and marched right up and knocked on the door. A servant Malvolio peeks through the crack. Olivia is busy. You'll have to go back. Viola insisted. I must see her. I'll stand right here till you concur. Hang on, Malvolio said with a sneer. I'll go and see, you wait here. Malvolio strutted, his nose up in the air. My lady, there's a strange man out there. Olivia said, who could it be? I'll send him in so I can see. She pulled her veil down over her face when she and Maria each took their place. Viola came in and looked at the two. Tell me, Olivia, which one is you? Never mind that, Olivia did say. Where are you from? What part do you play? I've come from Orsino's to plead his case, but I'll go no further until I see your face. Olivia relentlessly lifted her veil. Her face was exquisite in every detail. Viola began to read her speech. She dropped to her knees and did beseech. My master loves you with sighs of fire. You are his only heart's desire. Viola kept reading line after line. Olivia gagged. He'll never be mine. His sticky words make my stomach churn. Leave her right now, but please return. Viola left with a look of dismay. Orsino won't be happy today. But Olivia's face was filled with delight, for she had fallen in love at first sight. But how could she win Cesario, the lad? She took from her finger a ring she had. She called Malvolio, run after that man! Return this ring to him if you can. Tell him Orsino's not my kind of guy. If the lad comes tomorrow, I'll tell him why. Malvolio moved at a frantic pace. He caught Viola and snarled in her face. Give this trinket back to your boss. It's making Olivia really cross. Malvolio turned and went on his way. Viola just stood there. What a weird day. I didn't leave a ring behind. Could it be that I've lost my mind? This band of gold, what does it mean? Then she remembered the looks she had seen. I think the Countess has fallen for me. Olivia knows not that I am a she. And I love Orsino, who really loves her. What have I done for this trick to occur? Back to Livia's later that night. Sir Toby's room was filled with light. He was with Sir Andrew and a clown fest. It's party time! Hip, hip, hooray! It was going great till Maria stomped in. Olivia's fed up with all of this din. They partied on, they didn't care. Sounds of laughter filled the air. The party was a real blast. Then Malvolio entered, his face aghast. I've come from Olivia so out of my way. Just listen to what she has to say. Olivia's had enough of this noise. Now put away your silly toys. Malvolio left them in a stupor. Sir Toby yelled, party pooper! Maria agreed. The guy's a jerk. I have a plan for him that'll work. We'll make a love note written in code. When he figures it out, he will explode. It will be from Olivia and it will say that she loves Malvolio more each day. We'll meet tomorrow to do the trick. She'll think he's a lunatic. I can't wait, Maria said. But now it's late, I'm going to bed. In the morning at Duke's estate, Orsino was in a very sad state. Oh, Cesario, life's not fair when you want someone and they don't care. Viola confessed she loved someone too. My Duke, this person is much like you. Viola told him, if I weren't a boy, your love would fill me with utter joy. But Olivia won't have you. She's made that clear. That was not what Orsino wanted to hear. He ordered Viola to take her a jewel. Tell her my heart. She will always rule. She'll change her mind, I have no doubt. So off to Olivia's Viola set out. That day, Malvolio rose quite late, but his raging anger did not abate. He didn't know that out on a walk, Sir Toby and friends were having a talk. A servant, Fabian, joined in on the fun. He was mad at Malvolio for the things he had done. Maria was saying, he's such an old goat. I know Malvolio will fall for this note. If we leave it here, I have no doubt. I'll pick it up. The silly old trout. So Toby said, quick, behind those trees. So they ran and waited on bended knees. Malvolio wandered along the path. His sullen face was filled with wrath. Just then he spied Maria's letter. Should I open it? I guess I'd better. He picked up the letter and read it through. It's a love note for someone. I wonder who. It's Olivia's writing, that much is clear. But why does M-O-A-I appear? Wait! Those letters are in my name. Olivia loves me. Well, you can't blame the dame. She loves my yellow stockings and garters of black. If this is love, I will never look back. But what is this? A little P.S. It must says I must smile. I'll do my best. When he left, Sir Toby laughed with glee. Maria, you devil, please marry me. When Viola showed up, not long after, she'd missed the trick and all the laughter. She stopped with Sir Toby and Andrew to talk, then Olivia and Maria strolled down to walk. Sir Olivia listened with growing pain as Viola flattered the Countess again. Olivia took everyone to leave right away, except for Viola, to Sir Andrew's dismay. Olivia begged, Cesario, be mine. It is for you my heart does pine. Viola retorted, give it a rest. You're acting like a woman obsessed. Believe me, Olivia, you are way off track. I'm leaving now and I'm not coming back. As she walked away, she raised her brow. If only Orsino could see me now. But what had happened to Viola's brother? Had he survived somehow or other? Yes, indeed. He'd made it to land, a seaman. Antonio gave him a hand. Poor Sebastian was filled with dread. He thought Viola was surely dead. He thanked Antonio and said goodbye. Don't stay with me, I'm an unlucky guy. He headed for Orsino's court. Antonio followed to lend support. As they got closer to the Duke's place, Antonio dreaded showing his face. I can't go without you, Antonio said. There are people here who want my head. They say years ago I committed a crime. The Duke is eager for me to do time. There is some money, my good friend. It doesn't matter how much you spend. As each man parted to go his way, they decided to meet later that day. They didn't know that in this town, Viola had caused many to frown. In fact, Sir Andrew was ticked at her. It was time to leave. Of that he was sure. He whined to Sir Toby, "Can't you see? Olivia thinks more of Cesario than me." Sir Toby decided to have some fun. "Don't you see what Olivia's done? She wants to awaken the lover in you. She only pretends Cesario to woo. You should have made him look the fool. Why don't you challenge the lad to a duel? Send him a letter with the time and place. I'll deliver it myself, face to face." Sir Andrew replied, "What a marvellous caper!" Then he rushed off to put pen to paper. Sir Toby rolled on the floor with mirth. "This is the funniest thing on earth. The duel will surely be a sight, with a gentle page and a cowardly knight." Are you enjoying the story of Twelfth Night? I thought that I'd better just tell you what happens for the next few pages. Malvolio finds the pretend letter from Olivia. So Malvolio pops over to Olivia's house and she is extremely confused as to why he is there. She is so confused that she puts him in jail. You see, everyone's confused at this point because Olivia isn't in love with Malvolio or Duke Orsino, but Cesario, who's really Viola dressed up as a boy. So because of this confusion, everyone ends up almost having a fight. Viola with Sir Andrew with Antonio, Sir Andrew with Sebastian because he comes back, and then Viola comes back in dressed as Cesario and confuses Antonio because he's seen double. While Cesario, our Viola, is off stage and out of the scene, Olivia comes back, sees Sebastian and thinks it's Cesario because remember, they're two peas in a pod. They look exactly the same, especially with Viola dressed as a boy. So she falls in love and asks him to marry her and he says yes. The funniest thing is a little bit later on is the Duke finds out that his Cesario is really a girl and proposes to her. They then get married too. Now let's get back to the book for the last 2 pages. Are you ready? Olivia listened with growing doubt. What's all this talk of a love note about? I need to hear what he has to say. She sent for Malvolio without delay. Her servant, Fabian, led him back. Malvolio was pale and thin as a rack. "My lady Olivia, do not deny you wrote me this love note. Can I ask you why? You told me to wear these garters of black and then locked me up like I'm a maniac." "I didn't write that," Olivia denied. "It's in Maria's hand," she cried. Fabian was quick to take the blame. "I helped to bring this man to shame, and Sir Toby Belch had this time of his life, along with Maria, who is now his wife." Malvolio was not in a mood to forgive. "I'll hate you as long as I live." But although he remained a bitter soul, not so Fest who kept up his role. His lot in life was to clown and jest. And this is what Fest did best. He began to sing one final song in a voice that grew ever strong. Thank you for coming to listen to us today. Now here's Samantha, she's got a few more bits for you to learn. Here's a fact file, and also she's going to tell you a little bit more about the 7 ages of man.
That was written in As You Like It by William Shakespeare. In this play, he describes the 7 ages of man, which means the 7 ages that we all go through in our lives. The first one is when we're babies, mewling and puking. Do you have any baby brothers and sisters? Do they make lots of noise and lots of mess? Do you know the word puking? This was the first time that it was ever used by William Shakespeare. He is actually credited with adding over 3,000 words to the English language. Do you think you could make up a word? Try and make up a word and use it on your grown-ups and see if they understand what you're saying. The second age is the whining schoolboy who creeps like snail to school because he doesn't want to go. Do you like school? Are you happy to be back at school with all of your friends? What's your favourite subject at school? Mine was English. I like English, and that's why I really like Shakespeare. The third age of man is the lover. You know, Shakespeare was 18 when he got married to a lady called Anne Hathaway. They had 3 children, and even though Shakespeare is one of the most famous writers of all time, none of his children could read or write. They were all illiterate. Can you read or write? What's your favourite? Do you like writing best or do you like reading best? I like reading best. The fourth age is the soldier who's seeking the bubble reputation. That means that when you get a bit older, you really want to make sure that people remember you because you're so amazing at something. What are you really amazing at? Are you a really good singer or a really good dancer? Maybe you're really good at drawing or really fast at running. You should remember whatever you're good at, you can make people remember it and they'll remember you for being really special. The fifth age is the justice. That's when you're older and you're full of wisdom. Do you have lots of wisdom? Do you know lots of clever things? You know, Shakespeare used lots of classical references in his plays. That means he used plays that had already come before and put them in his own stories. And today, our writers do that with Shakespeare. Have you ever read the Harry Potter books? You know, Hermione Granger was named after a character in A Winter's Tale by Shakespeare. The sixth age is when you get old. Old like your mummies and daddies. That's when you have your spectacles on your nose and a pouch because you're a bit chubby. How old are you? Do you know Shakespeare was 52 when he died? That was as old as he got to. And when we get a bit older than that, that's the seventh age of man. That's when we go into our second childhood. And that's where we'll all get to be one day. I hope you've enjoyed learning all about the 7 ages of man as told by William Shakespeare over 400 years ago. Happy Shakespeare Week, everybody. Goodbye.